Thank you, Bosch, for this wonderful opportunity, and good afternoon to all of you. We had two great sessions of Mike and Joe. They talked about how technology enables the predictive analytics. Today, I will be talking about how predictive analytics can be used to improve the efficiency of critical assets. Before we deep dive into the topic, I would like to take a few moments to talk about who we are or what Infosys does. So Infosys is a very large and truly global system integrator IT services company. I won't go into the too many details of these statistics, but would like to highlight a couple of numbers. 98.3% of projects which we do are delivered on time. And we take really good pride in this particular statistics and continuously try to improve that. And our customers also believe in that, and that is why we have 96.6% of business as a repeat business. So let's understand what critical assets are. So every industry has some assets on which their business and their operations are critically dependent on. So if the asset goes down, then there are challenges in terms of achieving their business goals. Here are some examples I have shown. The critical assets are not limited to this, but these are some of the examples. So for example, airline industry, aircrafts are critical for them for their daily operations. And for aircrafts, the landing gear or aircraft engines are the critical assets which they want to monitor. Similarly, for railroad companies, the locomotives are extremely critical assets which they would like to monitor. And for mining industry, they have mining trucks and mining drills and so on. So once the critical asset is down, there are a lot of challenges which these businesses face. So here is a list of possible impacts when the asset goes down. So first and foremost is the unplanned downtime. It's not good for anybody. So once the asset breaks down and unplanned downtime is there, there are a lot of challenges. First is the deliveries of your productions are slow and they get delayed. That impacts your KPIs and SLAs. Customer dissatisfaction. So all of us are frequent flyer here, and I am sure that everyone must have encountered a situation when our flight gets delayed because of some technical reasons. And nobody is happy with that, neither the airline company nor us. Right? So customer dissatisfaction is something which all these companies would like to avoid. Because of the unplanned downtime, there is a rework and overall productivity of your staff also decreases. And this is also another critical thing is that there could be some possible hazards as far as environment is concerned, and it can also impact safety of people and other assets around it. Right? So let's take some time to understand what we mean by asset efficiency. So Infosys did some study with the University of Aachen around asset efficiency maturity framework, and we also did one survey to understand where current industry stands today. So there are four key dimensions to asset efficiency. First and foremost is maintenance efficiency. It's probably one of the most well-known aspect of the asset efficiency. So the predictive maintenance, condition-based monitoring, all these are the use cases which fall under maintenance efficiency vector. Second is about operational efficiency. So there is a serviceability aspect for every asset, and that consideration is under operational efficiency. How efficiently you service, whether you can do it remotely, what is the utilization of an asset. All these aspects and use cases come under the operational efficiency part. Third one is information efficiency, and in my opinion, that's the most underrated aspect of asset efficiency. all the manufacturing companies have been collecting a lot of information, taking decisions for several years now. What IoT makes a difference is ability to consolidate the information. So not only you collect data from one particular line, but you collect data from multiple lines, multiple plants all over the world. And in addition to that, you can also ingest data from your other enterprise systems and give appropriate context to that data to make sense out of it. And the last one is energy efficiency. So every asset consumes lots of resources. So it could be in terms of electricity, water, air, gas, raw material, and so on. So the consumption of it needs to be optimized, and that aspect is considered under energy efficiency. The survey itself was very interesting. You can see some of the statistics. So as of today, there were around 15% of the companies which have implemented these kind of solutions systematically. But looking forward to 2020, we can see that 93% of the companies want to achieve some of these use cases in their organization. So based on that study, we identified that there are some 6 key use cases which almost all the companies were interested in handling. We'll be talking more about the asset efficiency part, which covers the predictive maintenance and remote monitoring and energy efficiency. So the 3 parts are related to asset. Other 3 use cases are more holistic for the entire value chain. So here is a simplistic overview of asset efficiency solution. So on the left side, we can see the same critical assets which we want to measure, monitor, and manage. And then we collect a bunch of data, and then we utilize that, we run analytics, and then on the right-hand side, we have the outcome. So we typically identify if there are any anomalies, how is the overall system health, if there are any faults, we can diagnose those faults. The energy efficiency aspect, which we discussed earlier, overall performance of an asset, and prognostics, like identifying the remaining useful life, utilization of assets. So there is like holistic analysis of an asset, which is the outcome of this particular solution. Now let's move back to the input side again. So as you can see, it's not only the sensor data which is being used here to create the outcome which we are trying to accomplish here. It's a mix of data, right? So this is where our information efficiency comes into picture. Let's take simple example. I mean, we have railway or train as one of the asset. If we take a simplistic use case, part of PTC or positive train control is to control the speed of train in order to avoid any accidents, right? So if we just use the sensor data, we can get the odometer reading and accelerometer reading and find out like what is the current speed, what is the possible increase in speed in next few minutes, what are the speed limits, and give a warning that something is wrong. However, we with the use of IoT and with the use of rest of the information, we can find out what is the load that particular train is carrying, or what is the geographical information at that particular time, whether it is going on a slope or whether it is going on a hill. So those kind of things we can figure out. We can also find out from the other systems if the tracks are in good condition. We can get the weather data and see if it is raining, if it is flooding, and so on. And then we also have other events like the heat map of different wheels or the vibrations of different wheels. So we need to consider all these aspects in order to come up with the proper speed limit for that particular train and at that particular moment. So once this solution is implemented, all the stakeholders have different benefits. So look at the service manager. He would be extremely happy because of the predictive maintenance. So since it's preemptive in its nature, you can identify that a particular asset is going to fail at what particular time. So we can avoid those failures, make sure that the asset is serviced in time in order to make sure that there is no unplanned downtime. The SLAs and KPIs obviously improve because of this reduced unplanned downtime. and overall operations is optimized. The service technician is also very happy with this solution. One of the reasons is that there is the diagnostics module which identifies the exact problem in that asset. We talked about our airplane getting delayed, right? Imagine a situation when currently the cockpit gives an indication that something is wrong in the landing gear, and then there is a lot of time spent in identifying the problem. But with this particular technology, technician can understand the exact problem, and the overall efficiency of fixing the issue and getting it right at the first time is very high. The tools like augmented reality and these virtual twins will always help in fixing the problems faster. And then finally, the customer, this is like our customer who is implementing this solution, is happy because of overall production increases and ROI is justified. Obviously, the customers of customers are also happy because SLAs, if they are improved, then the customer is obviously going to be happy. So in order to prove this particular concept, we started, or we laid one test bed, which is called as asset efficiency test bed. In the morning, Dr. Richard Solly and Jairaj mentioned about IIC and how test beds are used in order to promote different innovative innovations. So we decided that we will create a test bed, and the first instance of it was built using Bosch M2M platform. We also used ThingWorx from PTC, and we used Intel Gateway technology along with Infosys platform. I will talk a little bit more about it. So this is the 3-tier reference architecture which is recommended by IIC. It's called as IIRA. So there is a distinct separation of these 3 layers. On the edge side, which is actual physical things, we have our asset. It could be landing gear, it could be railway locomotive, it could be generator set. And there are some sensors attached to that. Again, those are physical sensors attached to the asset. And then there is a device, edge device or a gateway, which accumulates or aggregates this sensor information and passes it to the platform tier. Platform tier, a tier which either could be on a public cloud like Bosch Cloud, or it could be on premise, consists of 3 main components. The first component is M2M layer. So as I was mentioning, we used Bosch M2M layer there. And the primary purpose of this layer would be to manage devices at the edge which are sending data. It acquires the data, it has the ability to store the data and provide it to the downstream application. Infosys Information Platform is a big data analytics platform which was used for doing this predictive analytics. And then we use ThingWorx as an application enablement platform which is used to create the dashboards, user interface, alarms, and notifications. So that interacts with the user. Enterprise tier, as we were discussing, brings in a lot of contextual information to give sense to the data. So Dr. Dehner talked about 5 different patterns, and what we are doing here in this asset efficiency solution is the digital twin concept. So we have the physical aircraft landing gear, and in the first step, we convert this physical model to digital by instrumenting it. So we put different sensors on it and then start gathering the data from that particular asset. The next step in this digital twin process is the data model. So here we gather the data, but in order to convert it to intelligent information, we have to create an asset model. We have to get the proper context to that data. The third step in this is a cognitive model. So here we use the information, the big data which we have collected, and use our big data analytics algorithm and identify diagnostic issues if there are any, and create prognosis for that particular asset in order to identify the remaining useful life. And the last one is utilizing this cognitive model to give a better service model for that particular asset. So this particular test bed used aircraft landing gear as an asset. So I mean, as you know, every aircraft has three different landing gears. There's a nose landing gear and left hand and right hand main landing gears, along with the hydraulic system which monitors steering and braking system. So we had around 35 sensors on all of those, and based on the failure mode understanding, we decided the locations of those sensors and collected the data. So here is the dashboard of our application. It's built on ThingWorx, PTC ThingWorx. It gives you the location of the aircrafts, and whatever aircraft you select, it will give critical parameters for the landing gear for that particular aircraft. So we have pump output pressure, which maintains the hydraulic pressure in the hydraulic circuit. Along with that, we have brake temperature and the timing which it takes, the landing gear takes for retraction and extension. This is the graph which I would like to show, emphasize more on. So this is the plot for pump output pressure of a aircraft landing gear hydraulic system. So once it is installed, it is at a standard design level and performing optimally. But as the aircraft goes through various cycles of landing and takeoff, the performance of this landing gear deteriorates. So here we are today, and based on the pattern, based on the historical data which we have accumulated, and then of course based on the risk which we want to consider, we identify what is the remaining useful life. And this model, as every other digital twin, is adaptive. So as the aircraft goes with multiple and more landings, this particular model gets better and better. I would quickly like to explain some technological aspects of this solution. So at the edge, as I was mentioning, we have Intel Gateway, and then there are a couple of software elements placed in it. First is the sensor simulator. So based on our study in India with some aeronautic companies, we collected the data of landing gear, and then the sensor simulator was used for this particular test bed to send across the data from the landing gear. We had Bosch Field Agent, it's called as Bosch ProSys technology, ProSys MBS. It would collect this data from the simulator. In reality, it will collect it from sensors and send it to the platform tier. So Bosch M2M platform is the one which accumulated the data, and then there are two different data flows. So the one is using some kind of a rule engine within Bosch PRM to identify if threshold values are crossing the limits, and it will raise alarms and notification. And the other part would go to Infosys IIP, where data is being accumulated, and then user can run some kind of analytics on it. Little bit details on IIP. I would be happy to talk about this offline as well. So IIP is based on all open source technology. So it can have data ingested from different types of variety of sources. It could be feeds, it could be other applications, it could be databases, or it could be like tweets or unstructured data like logs and so on. The open source technology is used primarily, which is like Storm and Spark. We are using Hadoop open source along with the HDFS. And what Infosys has done is it has built several algorithms for statistical and mathematical models which can operate on that data, and it will allow a data scientist to build different analytics algorithm. These are a little bit more details. I just have a few seconds now, but as I was mentioning, the data gets ingested into the data store, and in Spark we have various tools which we have developed. We have very comprehensive security mechanism to ensure that data remains secure, and authentication is done through a proper mechanism along with the proper access to the data. And then also there is a governance structure in order to maintain the data lineage and audit trail aspects. I would like to finish it with the case study. I would again be happy to discuss it in detail offline. But this is the one use case which we did for a mining major. It's a real use case. So they have mines all over the world, and hundreds of mining trucks which are unmanned and autonomous in nature. So we put like 200 sensors on every truck, and then the data was like 27,000 messages per second. So it was really large data which was handled by IIP in order to give the health of the vehicle and remaining useful life. So with that, I would like to thank you, all of you again, and thanks to Bosch for giving me this opportunity.
Maybe a few quick questions. So Samir, based on your experience in putting together this test bed, what would you recommend to others when they are assembling their own solution architecture? How do you go about selecting the right partners?
Right, so as we know that IoT consists of 5 different layers. So we have device layer, the sensor layers, then we have edge devices which ensure the connectivity with the platform. And in the platform also we have multiple aspects, right? And